Good afternoon, beautiful loves. Thank you all for tuning in to Real Talk with Steph Crosley, aka Love Queen Steph. And this is actually our very first digital Real Talk. Today's topic is Ask Steph. So oftentimes I receive a lot of messages from people I know and a lot of people I do not know about situations and problems that they are currently going through. People tend to reach out to me for a couple of different reasons. One, for an outlet. People want to vent and release. And two, to get unbiased advice. Now, the purpose of us using the digital platform is because we all tend to go through similar situations. However, we all have different experiences because we react based on our own level of comprehension and our emotional state at the time. Now, when we're going through problems, it's usually hard for us to separate ourselves from the situation to see clearly, which prevents us from realizing our contributions to the problem and coming up with the best possible solution. So today I will be taking questions. I'll be answering questions that were submitted via email and social media and offering my unbiased advice. Please watch the video all the way through and share your thoughts, your feedback, and your unbiased advice. All right, question one. I have been in an on and off again situation with the guy that was my best friend before we start having sex. Red flag one. I have done so much for this man and I never get a thank you or public appreciation that I feel I should get from him. Red flag two. Recently, I had a miscarriage and he wasn't there for me, only to find out he's in a relationship. Red flag three. When I confronted him about it, of course he lied and tried to make light of the situation. Many people in our circle ask the same question. Why won't y'all just be together? And when I asked him, he says it will mess up our friendship. Red flag four. I am tired of being hurt over this situation, but how do I let go when I haven't got closure to why he treats me the way he does in my miscarriage with him? He just sweeps under the rug. Help. I am tired of being hurt over this situation, but how do I let go? You have to choose yourself, baby. History and patterns are the best predictor for future behaviors. Oftentimes as women, we tend to want to hold on to things we saw potential in hopes that that person eventually reaches that potential, not even realizing how much it takes from us as human beings. It takes away from our ability as women to produce in ways we should be producing. Too often, and this isn't just for you, but this is for all of us. We all tend to do it. I was just recently in a situation where I was waiting for closure. And I eventually received it, but it was not in the same form in which I thought I would get it. It wasn't in a, I'm sorry, I apologize, this is why I do this. Because sometimes we'll never know why a person does X, Y, or Z. And that comes from, that's a whole nother situation and a whole nother topic. But one thing I realized with myself, I don't know, me wanting closure was my excuse to keep that person close to me. I thought that, if I kept them around, if I kept showing them this, if I kept being nice, I kept trying to be their friend despite our history, that eventually they would start to appreciate me. However, people will show you who they are. I always say trials and tribulations will always determine the people who are supposed to be in your life and the people you should get rid of. Now, closure does not happen overnight. It may not happen in 6 months, a year, may take up to 2 years, 3 years before you finally get that closure, but you really have to choose yourself. At what point do you draw the line? At what point do you realize that you are more important in this situation? There's a reason why he has not made you his girlfriend. The truth hurts, and sometimes we tend to run from it because it's not our truth. And that's when we need to be real with ourselves. So my advice to you is choose yourself. Start to do things that you really love to do. It's going to be hard that you have to stop talking to this person as much as you're used to, but eventually you'll get over it. Question two. How do you as a woman handle being a beautiful, sexy individual, but still maintain a level of respect about yourself while embracing your sexuality and sex appeal? Well, first of all, thank you for the compliments. I greatly appreciate them. But I honestly think the key to balancing it all is to stay true to who you are. For so long, I was trying to live the life that I thought everyone else wanted me to live, and it wasn't until I found myself and I started doing the things that I love to do, and I was very authentic in the process. And I think that once you accept yourself, other people will accept you as such, and they either respect it or they don't. But if they don't, then you just go about your business. And also too, I'm really a huge fan of being the energy you wish to receive. I despise disrespect. So I don't make it my duty to go around disrespecting people. And I think that because I give off so much love, I give off so much respect, I give off so much, empowering words, those all come back to me. And I set myself up in a position where I can do what I want to and not be judged, or if I am judged, it's not done in a negative way. You may see me out. I'm the same person, whether I'm in a business suit or in a tube top and some small shorts. And that's really the key. Stay true to who you are. Be who you are. Love and appreciate who you are. And the rest will follow. Question 3. Can you put a timeline on marriage? This is a good conversation. I think we all should chime in on this one. But I personally will say no, you can't. Because we all derive our meaning of love, relationships, and marriage based on how we saw love, relationships, and marriage growing up. So you may have saw it in your family. Your parents may be married, your grandparents may be married, but then your mate may have never been in a wedding, never saw their parents get married. And because of that, they probably don't care too much about marriage. I will say that marriage is definitely something that you must talk about. You must communicate your thoughts and your feelings around it. And if that person isn't with it, you have to make a decision. I'll also add that marriage is not a band-aid. Marriage does not fix what is broken. So if you've been with someone 10 years, 11 years, 12 years because you're waiting for them to propose, but it's been rocky all of 8 years of that 11 years, then you're probably thinking and considering marriage for the wrong reasons. Question 4. What do you tell your young women who struggle with the pursuit of a college degree, going to school full-time, and only being able to work part-time jobs, but also struggles with the pressure of society and being independent and social? Good question. Really good question. And it is so hard being a woman in today's society. And I say that because we have so much more we can do. We have so many different opportunities presenting themselves than our parents and our grandparents had as women. And because of so many opportunities, we want to put our hands in some of everything. But it's all about finding your niche. My advice to you would be to, 1, paint your big picture. In 15 years, where do you see yourself? When you're long gone, what do you want to be remembered as? Or for? Paint your big picture. Now come back to reality. The things you're doing now, list them. How are they contributing to your bigger picture? Is the line in alignment to get into that bigger picture, or are you just wasting time? And I think that's very important for us all to sit and think about, because time is of the essence. We can't get that back. And a big part of life, a big part of success is sacrifice. So what you're doing now, you're sacrificing with the idea that it will all pay off. So while you're sacrificing, make sure you're doing it with a smile. A positive attitude goes a long way. Sometimes we're just so busy grinding that we forget to take time for ourselves. We forget that, this is all for a purpose. So once you start breaking down everything you're doing and it's contributing to your bigger picture, make sure you find time for yourself. That's very imperative. Sometimes, you know, we get too worked up into everything else that we have going on that we forget to take care of ourselves and we run out of gas. So it's about finding balance. So I challenge you to create your picture, and I challenge you to put forth the effort and do it with a positive attitude, because hard work does pay off. Question 5. Ask Steph. My fiance's mother is terrible. She's controlling, bossy, and our personalities clash. She has expressed her dislike for me to her sister, who has warned me about it. She's awkwardly cordial to my face, but when she talks to my fiance, it's like I don't exist. I talk to my fiance about it, but it's not a fair position for him. It's hard to be positive and nice to her and want to include her in on plans when I don't even want to be around her. Help. That sounds like a very tough situation to be in. And I will say that a lot of fiancés tend to go through similar situations with their mother-in-laws. My advice: I think you should take some time to yourself and thoroughly assess the situation. Really think about your perception of the situation and the reality of the situation. Because oftentimes when we're going through things and we have an emotional attachment to things, we tend to react in ways that are not ideal. And we tend to see things the way they're not necessarily happening. 2, my challenge for you is to practice empathy. Empathy seems to be like a lost art in today's society. But think about it this way. You're gaining a wonderful man. In her mind, she may be losing her baby boy. And internally, that may be tough for her to handle, and she may not know how to articulate that the right way. Our last question of the afternoon. I think we need to speak on respect in relationships. So tired of people who want you to respect them in relationship, but they can't. Like, for an example, talking to exes on the side. You don't want me to do it, but you do it. It's a problem. Good question. Good topic. Good topic. And again, chime in. Very interesting topic. And actually, I have been in that situation. However, I was on the opposite end. I was able to talk to my exes, but my mate, not at all. Don't talk to him. But before I get into that, I will say there are 2 main things lacking in relationships today that contribute to that problem. And those are communication, real communication, honest communication, and self-love. Really important. So in my situation, like I mentioned, I was in a similar situation. I think exes make for the best friends. I could communicate with them. But once I found out that my ex was communicating with their exes, it became a problem. And for a long time, I thought, well, I can communicate with mine because I know myself. I don't want to have anything to do with my exes. They're in the past. I'm not going back. And for you, I don't trust your exes. I don't trust them. They want you. It was a lot of excuses. And then I had to stop and be honest with myself. What was really the issue? If I think that exes make for the best friends, why do I have an issue with my mate communicating with their ex? And it really came down to trust. Not necessarily a trust in the ex, but a trust in my mate and a trust within myself, because I wasn't as secure as I thought I was. And so because of this, I reacted. Because of this, I didn't want that person to communicate with anyone, because I thought that, once they start to communicate more with people, then they will realize that I was missing a lot of different qualities and a lot of different traits, and one being that huge component of self-love, and that was a huge issue. I think communication is everything. In relationships, there are certain guidelines and standards that you must uphold, and if you don't, you guys need to talk about it and figure out a solution. It can't be one-sided. It's a conversation that must happen between the two of you and not one person decide. But yeah, communicate and stand your ground and figure out if you're going to deal with it or you're going to walk away. And if you're going to deal with it, don't say anything else about it. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and ask Steph. Because in a social media driven world, real talk still exists. Question 5. Ask Steph. Cut. Okay.